Good Wednesday morning. Oh, good Wednesday morning. Hello, my name is Dave. I live here, and it's Wednesday. We are in the midst of a community challenge called the Next 90 Days, or 90 Days of Courage, and I am happy that you are here. Today, we're going to kick our day off with a little Q&A, a little hangout sesh. Just us as a community hanging out. I watched this movie last night. Kids went back to Ray's. It's their time to head back until the weekend. And so I was by myself wondering, what the heck do I do to entertain myself in the evening? And I ended up watching this movie called Tomorrow War. Now, here's the thing. The Tomorrow War is one of these movies where you have to suspend so much belief in the things that actually happen in this world that half the time you're like, wait, what? Now I gotta believe this thing, right? Okay, here's the thing. Chris Pratt is great. The movie was entertaining. But there was one little thing in the movie that I woke up thinking about. It's a really interesting idea. So the idea of this movie was that there was some way to teleport to the future to stop a war that is going to happen like 50 years in the future, okay? But the only way that you could be a person who could transport to the future from the present to help stop this alien invasion is if you were already dead. Good morning. Hope everyone's enjoying their coffee. So they scan you, see if you would still be alive 30 or 40 or 50 years into the future. And if you were already going to be dead, now you get something put on your arm. They send you on off to the future, and you get to go ahead and help defend the world from aliens that are going to attack and destroy the universe and wipe humanity off the face of the earth 50 years from now. So there's a sequence in the movie where Chris Pratt is having a conversation with another character. As they're having this conversation, he's like, "What's your motivation? Why are you here?" Chris Pratt to this other character. And the other character is like, "Well, I found out that in order for me to be able to jump into the future, I was not going to be alive. And they told me why I wasn't going to be alive. I have cancer. It had not yet been diagnosed. I was going to be dead in 6 months. So I am going to do everything I can to live between now and when I would have otherwise died." And it stuck with me because there is this thing. I had this podcast yesterday, having a conversation with somebody as I'm running through a whole bunch of different podcasts, both for Rise Together, but also for, the lead up to the book. So I've just been doing 2 or 3 podcasts a day. And at the end of the podcast that I did for Rise Together yesterday, I finished the show in the same way I do every time. I asked this question: what's the single piece of advice that you would leave with anyone who is listening today? It may be an actionable piece of advice. It just might be something that you want them to think about. And this person said, "I want you to stay connected to this reality that you are going to die." Oh, good morning. I hope you're having a nice morning. But there's something interesting in our humanity that doesn't let us always stay connected to this fact of life, this 100% guaranteed fact of life that we're going to die. And there's something also even maybe more interesting, that because of our wiring and our humanity, we tend to just think, oh, I'm going to go ahead and just live forever. I'm going to be here forever. And that conceit that you've got 50 more years of life when we have no concept when our day is going to come, maybe is a reason to not feel urgency to do all the things that you were put on this planet to do. And I thought, man, as much as I take issue with almost every single fact in the Tomorrow War, I mean, there was just so much ridiculous stuff. The idea that this small exchange between these 2 actors where this guy realizes, you know what? I was only going to have the 6 months to live, and so now I'm going to fight for the ability to save humanity because I won't be here 6 months from now. I hope that every single one of you is here for the next 500 years. I hope that 30 years from now, they find some way to reverse aging, that you start becoming a Benjamin Button-like human being who just gets younger, sexier, stronger. You're living forever. You're healthier than ever. You feel better than ever. But most likely, I hate to be the person who breaks this to you, but most likely, you're gonna probably die at some point. And I don't want it to be morbid, but the more that you can make a relationship with this reality that we only have a certain number of days and that we don't actually know the number of days that we have, maybe is an invitation to live a little bit more intentionally into this day that you know you have in real time. Because as my guest on the show yesterday said, he's like, people who woke up on 9/11, people who woke up in an earthquake zone, people who woke up, like whatever, like they woke up that day. They didn't have any concept that this day was going to be their last day. Maybe if they had some concept of how short an amount of time they still had left, it would have been something that would have changed the way that there was urgency to not worry about what other people were thinking or listen to the whisper of their intuition, or step closer to the intention of why God put you on the planet. I know it's a deep thought early on a Wednesday morning, but it was my takeaway from the stinking Tomorrow War. Thank you, Chris Pratt, for hitting me with that. All right, I asked before I jumped on if anyone had questions. We're gonna do a little Q&A today for a half hour's worth of time so that you can enjoy your coffee and we can hang out. I have a list of questions. Tara asks, hard-hitting question to start. I'm sorry that we're going to transition from such a deep topic to another deep topic. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Here's the thing. Pineapple does belong on pizza, in my opinion. But here's, the bottom line is if you don't like pizza, if you don't like a Hawaiian pizza, that's your choice. Don't put it on. I personally love me some Hawaiian pizza. Thank you very much. Creative Wolf asked, is it too late to join your coaching sessions? I am in need of guidance. No, it is not too late to join my coaching. I'm doing these lives and these morning shows in part because we're doing something called 90 Days of Courage every single Monday night for the next 12 weeks worth of time. We're going to have our coaching take place inside of our private Facebook group. So if you are someone who would like an amazing community, and I mean amazing community, if you pre-order the book, hit mrdavehollis.com, you will immediately get dropped into a rad community of human beings and have access to coaching on Monday nights, have access to a couple of cool coaching e-courses that already exist. One about finding your why, one about resiliency and mindset. Lauren asks, hey, I'm a new parent. Any advice for this mom and dad with a newborn? Well, I will tell you this, Lauren. I had no idea what I was getting into when I was a parent because as much as I thought I might be prepared by asking every person, including strangers on the internet wearing hats, how to think about or what I might do to be better prepared for being a parent, there is nothing. You cannot read what to expect when you're expecting often enough to actually be prepared for what it is to be a parent for the first time. So give yourself just a humongous amount of grace. There's nothing that is going to totally make you ready for every single one of these things that will show up when you are a first-time parent. And number two, think about how you and your husband want to parent. And don't worry about how anybody else is parenting, because the parenting and getting it right a lot of times ends up being this comparison game of how you think you're supposed to get it right relative to how other people are doing it, and they are not parenting your child. They are not, their way of doing it has no place necessarily inside of your home. So if you are in any way feeling weird or bad, not doing it good enough or struggling, check to make sure that you're not comparing how you think you ought to be parenting to the way your mother-in-law suggests that you would, or the way that society tells you to do it. Parent the way that you parent and move along. Let's see. Delaney asks, do you have a new goal that you're working toward now that the triathlon is done? Oh my goodness. I'm nervous to even say this out loud because this is kind of a crazy thing, but I have been working on strength training. I have, as a part of my 90-day challenge for myself, decided, you know what? I am going to see what I can do in building muscle, right? Like I have never lifted heavy weights. I've never had a trainer. I've never been in a relationship with someone like Heidi, who is encouraging, but also so smart about fuel and so smart about so many things. And I have seen, man, I've built some mass. So my goal in this next 90 days is to see what might happen were I to get very serious with consistent training and really consistent eating. I don't want to say this out loud, but I'm going to say it because then I put myself on the hook. My trainer, I have a trainer named Tony with an I, Tony. Tony has suggested that my 46-year-old self should enter a bodybuilding competition as an amateur for old people. And that terrifies me because I'm not sure that I want to stand on a stage fully exposed for how much I have worked out or how good the posing, the everything. And yet there's something interesting about doing something that makes me uncomfortable. There's something interesting about putting myself out there, even if it ends up a thing that people will make a ton of fun of. I think I'm gonna have to do it. So there is a competition for amateurs in November, just after my book comes out. And the idea of having that as a thing that I'm pushing toward will create the motivation, the leverage to grow, to see how much I can actually do, and see what happens when I actually stay super consistent, super consistent with the way that I'm in the gym, pushing myself, reframing what I think I'm capable of. So I'm gonna go do it. Go ahead and prepare yourself for me trying to see how much muscle I'm able to put on my old body. And I'm not old. I feel as young as I have ever felt in my entire life. And I'm as healthy, frankly, as I've ever been in my entire life, which is rad. But part of it, to me, setting a goal like that happens to connect to the way I want to feel, the kind of energy I know I'm going to need for a book tour that's going to be happening after the book comes out on October 26th. And so the idea that I could be super healthy, I could see how strong I can become by pushing myself to be stronger than I might believe myself to be. It might transition into other places in my life, like my mind or my emotions, so that I can handle all the fun that shows up when you release a book. So I'm excited about that. Bittersweet Jess asks this question: can you take your epic water slide to Goose Hill? All you'd be missing is Bob Goff. That's so funny. But actually, this is the craziest thing. So next week, I am going on a tour of sorts. I'm rolling into Nashville. I had this, someone had this idea as a part of the launch for the book. Might we take the Patio of Peace idea and bring it to some friends and have a conversation about how they manufacture peace on their patios? So I am going out Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and I will be on the patios of Carlos Whitaker, of John Acuff, of Annie, what's Annie's last name? Shoot, hold on. Now I got to pull it up so I can actually tell you who the heck I'm going to see. Let's see, Donald Miller, John Acuff, there's 3 other people. Anyway, like there's 6 humans that I will be going patio to patio for. It's going to be so much fun. So I am actually going to see Goose Hill, which I cannot wait. And I'm going to get to see Donald's brand new human being baby, which Annie Downs. Yes, Annie Downs. Goodness gracious, like drawn a stinking blank. So I'm excited about that. Meadnik asks, what is the best meal in Austin? The best meal in Austin that I have ever had is at a place called The Odd Duck. The Odd Duck. They have this menu that changes all the time, but every single thing, it's just like this tiny, there's like just these tiny like mealettes that you just string together in downtown Austin. I love it so much. Isn't low swit the best? If you're not following Carlos Whitaker, I mean, he has done some of the most incredible things in the last handful of weeks in showing up for and supporting people in just the most authentic, most incredible, most inspirational kind of way. I mentioned it not terribly long ago, but he was in the airport when a flight that he was meant to take to a speaking event was canceled and was bummed. He was like really bummed out about it. Ends up sitting in the airport, witnesses a piano player, asks him his story. The story of like this piano player ends up also turning out that he has some health stuff. And he, to his community, is like, hey, let's leave this guy a big tip. And in the 40 minutes that he's sitting there, he ends up getting to leave this piano player who needs some help with a $10,000 tip. But the donations, because of the word of mouth, just kept coming in, and it ended up being something that went all the way up to like $60,000, was covered by national news, just an incredible story. And he just keeps doing amazing things like that. So anyway, if you don't follow Carlos Whitaker, you are missing out. You would have something happy happen in your life every single day. Laura T asks, can you update us on your daily meals for the day? That seems strange. But Laura, I will tell you this. So as a part of my training, I am doing something called macro counting. And so macro counting is just a way that you try and keep track of the fat that you're taking in, the protein that you're taking in, and the carbs that you're taking in. And in the way that I'm working with my trainer, he has me tracking what I eat inside. I use a free app called MyFitnessPal, and it ends up tracking every single thing that I eat. I put it in, and it breaks it down into fat, into protein, and into carb. And he has given me a target for how many fats, how many proteins, how many carbs I am meant to take in on an every single day basis. And then every week, I provide him with the way that I have tracked my food every single day, and very bizarrely, pictures of myself so that he can see if the way that I'm eating is actually having us deliver the result that we're looking for when it comes to adding muscle. And so for me, like, yes, there's calories that I am watching, right? And I am taking in wildly more calories than I have ever taken in before because I am trying to build mass. So there are times when I'm having a protein shake or I'm having something called Carbolin, which is a powder that is supplementing the foods that I'm taking in because I am having to try and take in so many calories to build mass. But that's how my body is able to actually produce the muscle, which is great. But since I've never done it before, it's taken someone who has a little bit of professional expertise to convince me that it's okay to actually take in more calories. It's okay to follow somebody who's, guiding me through it. And the results so far have been fantastic. And hey, guess what? I guess we'll see in November. He's going to keep tweaking as we go so that I can continue to build the mass. When we get closer to the competition, lean it out a little bit. I've been using, I've got this partnership with FitTrack. I've been using this body analyzing scale that has really also, I think, helped me understand the way that I'm putting on muscle mass, how much water weight I'm holding, all of those things. And so the combination of a trainer, counting these macros, and tracking things with this body analyzing scale has been amazing. But when it comes to what I eat, I'll be honest, like the great thing about doing something with macro counting, I can eat almost anything as long as by the end of the day, I've hit the balance of how much percent of protein, percent of fat, and percent of carb I am trying to take in. There you go. I hope that helps. Sarah said, I want to say that it's nice to see you and Ray co-parenting and still rooting for each other. Oh man, I'm going to root for Ray for the rest of my stinking life. She was over for Ford's birthday party. As much as she's been, much more quiet on social media lately, she's doing well, but she also, just because you don't see her every day doesn't mean that we're not talking all the time. I mean, we are going to be champions of each other, support of each other, and co-parents of these 4 kids for the rest of our stinking lives. So, Sarah, I appreciate that. But of course. Lewinin asks, do you ever read any fiction? And if so, what is your favorite book? I don't really read fiction. I'll be honest. Like, I've started having conversations with my kids about the books that I read when I used to read fiction, because they're now just getting to the age where they can. So like, I really was into, what was the Tom Hanks movie? I know that he wasn't in the book. But Dan Brown, that thing, that book. I can't remember what it's called. My brain isn't working. Hold on, maybe it's the coffee. But those kind of, like, I like a book that has a little bit of like adventure, mystery, drama, but I'm very much a nonfiction book reader almost exclusively. Can you give me some job advice on interviews? My goal for the 90 Days of Courage is to find a job. So this is from Ari. Ari, the thing I think I would say more than anything, Da Vinci Code. I mean, come on, Da Vinci Code. Give me a break, Dave. Could you remember one of the most famous books in the history of time? Can you give me some advice on job interviews? So here's what I would say. Ari and anyone else who is interested in putting themselves in the running for a job, you have the only life experience that you have. You have the only work experience that you have. You were wired exclusively as this limited edition one of one, and your job in a job interview is to convince the hiring manager that they would be crazy to not hire you because you are uniquely created for the job that they are posting. So the thing I would say is understanding what the company is, what the job is, and how that job, that company, the description of that job fits perfectly with the story of who you are, who you've been in work, who you've been as a person, your life experiences lending themselves specifically and perfectly to this job. You have to become a storyteller. And so the more that you can storytell around why you believe yourself to be the only qualified candidate, that you and you alone are the best fit for the job, that's your work. So, and by the way, that pitch is probably not the exact same pitch from one job interview to the next. So I think you need to think about like service, like how can I, with my unique set of skills, my unique experiences, serve the needs that exist with this job so that you can be the thing that fits, the thing that solves, the thing that serves whatever it is that they need in a way that no one else possibly could. All right, let's see. Kendra asks, is there going to be a book tour with your new book? Sad that the last one got canceled. Man, I was super sad that the last one got canceled as well. There is going to be a book tour with this next book. Don't have details just yet. As soon as I do, I will let people know. But I'm super excited to get out. Hopefully the world will allow it to happen. Please, Delta variant, stop messing with people's lives. Let's go. All right, let's see. Oh man, Sarah has double pneumonia in the hospital. How do you stay positive, Dave? My goodness, Sarah, number one, I am sorry that you are going through what you are going through, but my best advice would be to just try and compartmentalize getting through the day, getting through the week in super short bursts. Because when you're going through, especially when you're going through a super, super tough time, making sure that you're not trying to bite off more than you can chew. Like when I was at the very beginning of divorce, as a for example, right? I went from being like a casting a vision for 5 years from now or casting a vision for a year from now to what do I need to get through the next 30 days? And sometimes, what do I need to get through this week? And on certain days, what do I need to get to lunch? And so even if you can just like identify time blocking the day, how are you going to get through? I would start by just shortening the time block of how much you are trying to bite off. And then the second thing is just surrounding yourself with as many positive influences as you possibly can so that you can be encouraged. Trying, even in the midst of struggle, to do a gratitude practice so that you can see the good that already and still exists, even in the midst of the double pneumonia, even in the midst of what's going on. And then the last thing I would say is to the extent that you can visualize being well, what it's going to look like for you when you are on the other side of not feeling well. and just like, and see it like, God, it's just like a motion picture in your head. It'll be something that will hopefully help you feel like it is going to happen because of your ability to see it in your mind. Good luck. I am cheering for you. Do you, Arlene asks, do you have the address set up yet for Grandma Lee's birthday cards in December? No, I don't, but I need to. Grandma Lee's turning 100 in December. God, I put up that awesome piece of art that I got from Once Upon a Dot, my friend Jenna, who was a coaching student of mine. We had this coaching conversation where she was challenging some of the limiting beliefs in her own head, that she could create this business, this like very intricate little dots business where she makes art for people who are later on in life or who've passed away. And she commissioned a piece of art for Grandma Lee. And I got just a lovely note from her this morning, how many of you were so supportive of her and encouraging of her and asking her if there were things that she might make for them. I really appreciate that. So nice. But Grandma Lee turning 100 in early December of this year. So I will definitely, I'm going to get an address up so that anyone who wants to send a card, I would love it so much. Let's see, what else? Deetster85 asking, is the fish still alive? Well, if you've been in the community for a long time, you know we had a fish. We ended up giving the fish to someone who could care better for the fish. The fish is very much still alive, but in the that sounds like, who like rehomes a fish? I did, because in the midst of the divorce, so terrible, I couldn't keep the fish alive myself. And I had a friend who has small children, and they loved the idea of taking that fish off my hands. And I was like, you know what? This fish deserves a better home until I can get my stuff together. And now that fish is going to live there for the rest of time. Bless up. All right, let's see. Did you and Brady break up? No! Oh, seriously, I'm missing the bromance. I'm missing the bromance too. Brady and his family have been on vacation for literally ever. Honestly, they've had their mail sent to California, as far as I can tell. They went to a great long vacation in Mexico, and then have, for the last week and a half, been down in California. I think they're heading back here not terribly long for now. I'm excited to see them when they return. Bless up on that as well. If I was an Olympian, Nice and Slick asks, what sport would I be an Olympian in? The only thing I really have athletic skill in is soccer. I would definitely not make the team, but if I could make the team in anything, my best chance feels like would be soccer. So I'll say soccer. Let's see. How do you build self-worth to do good things for yourself? Cams is asking, how do you build self-worth for yourself? Here's the simplest way to do it. Go find something that you have not done before and do it. And when you don't do it very well the first time, because you won't, do it again. And when you see the progress that comes from having done it the first time not so well and the second time a little bit better, celebrate that progress, celebrate the way that you have grown in a way that can make you feel proud. And then keep repeating those steps. Just keep doing new things that are not things that you do like super well at the very beginning. As you create a little bit more skill, as you get closer to mastery, connect to it and feel great about yourself for doing it. But if you're not putting yourself into situations where you aren't challenging yourself to do new things, you are probably not going to get to feel something great about yourself, because you're going to be stuck inside of things that you already know how to do. All right, last thing. I got to go jump on a call about my book. It is time. Let's find one more. Oh gosh, there's too many more. All right, so I'm going to finish with this. If you have not yet, I want to encourage you. Hold on, Dave. Where'd I go? Here I am. I want to encourage you, pre-order this book. It's Built Through Courage. It comes out in like 80 days. And when you do, you immediately get a couple of amazing e-courses. Amazing. It's one about finding your why. There is another one about mindset and resiliency. And then you get into a community of people. There are now 5,400 people in the Built Through Courage launch team. If you're not in, you're missing out. We need you in that team. But even beyond that, the page that exists for the Built Through Courage launch team has become a center of encouragement. Like all it is all day long is people encouraging people to be courageous and brave. If there is someone who's going through a hard time, they are getting a ton of people in real time saying, you got this, keep going. So go to MrDaveHollis.com. If you've pre-ordered the book already, if you bought it on Audible, you bought it literally anywhere, doesn't matter, go to MrDaveHollis.com/book, drop in your info, you'll immediately get an email. That email will give you access to all the things, a link to the group. Roll on in. MrDaveHollis.com. Let's get this group to 10,000. I agree with this sentiment. All right, I'm 4 minutes late to a meeting. I love you all. Have a fantastic Wednesday.